Welcome again, once again, to the next edition of the Midnight Skeptic. What I'm doing here, recording and gonna send it into Petaluma Community Access radio station, KPCA LP, 103.3 FM. It's going to go out to the world on Sunday, the 16th. At the usual time, 9 p.m. At KPCA LP, 103.3 FM locally, and worldwide at kpca.fm, and then also on YouTube. Okay, as soon as I get done with this, I will download it to YouTube, and you guys will be the beneficiaries of the Midnight Skeptic's wisdom. Okay, as always, in my own small way, my goal is to rid this country of all MAGA heads and Republicans, one broadcast at a time. There's no longer any question that the Republican Party is a cult of the orange sociopathic bloat bag. Our government, our justice system, and our socioeconomic system are all in danger from this cult. Please, listeners and my YouTube followers, this November 5th, vote out all Republicans and GOP MAGA heads. Okay, I'm going to start my shout-outs now. And first one, as always, lately, is Project Censored. And the three dudes that started it, Mickey Huff, Nolan Higdon, and Andy Lee Roth. I don't think they started it. It started back in the 80s, the 1980s, not the 1880s, in Sonoma State. And I'm having a brain freeze on the professor that started it. But currently, Mickey Huff, Nolan Higdon, and Andy Lee Roth are the guiding lights at Project Censored. Go to their website and sign up to receive their newsletter. And if you have a mind to, buy their latest book, The State of the Free Press 2023. Okay, John Crowley at the Aquas Cafe. He's created kind of a community of like-minded souls over there. Poetic, artistic, inventive people that gather there and exchange ideas, and they also serve very good food there, too, and they have beer on tap and nice wines. And every couple of months, we'll see Drinks with Shrinks meeting there, where therapists come out of the woodwork and exchange ideas, exchange humor, exchange phone numbers, whatever. And I've attended a couple of them, and hoping to see some of the shrinks that I know personally, and they didn't show up. Oh, well. It's a gathering of good therapeutic souls. Okay. And Tom Gaffey at the Phoenix Theater. Go to their website and see what their schedule is. And they play music there on weekends and have other events there. Their music tends to run toward the metal and grunge, but if you're into that, great. And in the afternoons, it is a hangout for the alternative teen community. Okay, Ralph Scott, the godfather of Petaluma radio players. I don't think we're going to get it up and going again. despite his and our best efforts. Nariman, enjoy your vacation over there in Europe. Art Kutznetz and Rabbi Ted of B'nai Israel, who he is retired now, and a very nice guy. I met him at a few events 15, 20 years ago. My late wife, was Jewish, and we attended some night classes that were held by Rabbi Ted. He referred to me as his favorite pagan, and I take that as the compliment I'm sure that it was intended to be. Okay. All right. Let's see. Shout-outs. Okay. I got to continue the shout-outs. Okay, I did the local people. Okay. Tim Conrad, Tom and Nancy Throw, Kevin and Lori, Dave and Rosita Takach up in Sacramento, Rich and Kathy Berger in Sebastopol. Enjoy your trip down through New Mexico and Texas, and then up the Mississippi River on a paddle wheel cruise. Have fun. See you when you get back. We'll have a brew together. Dennis and Megan down in Tiburon. Yvonne and Rick in San Francisco. You guys are also on vacation. Enjoy it, and I hope to see you at Kevin and Lori's when you guys get back. Stan and Kathy in Pacifica. Aunt Jackie and Samantha. And her daughters, Samantha and Melanie. Melanie is now living in Austin, Texas. My brother Brandon and his wife Mina in Arizona, and their daughter Andrea, the nurse. I forget the name of the hospital. And her husband Tim, retired Marine Corps. Booyah! And their three little guys, who are growing up very, very fast. And the snake lady, Karina Hilliard, who is an animal control officer down in Patagonia, Arizona, down in the southwest corner of Arizona. In Arkansas, Shannon Reed, Florida, Nelson and Alice. Amelia Beamer, check her out on YouTube. She'll let you know what Locus magazine is reviewing in its book review for the month. Locus magazine is right across the bay in Oakland, and they concentrate on the three genres: science fiction, horror, and fantasy. And they review books. There's a whole bunch of books always coming out, and Locus reviews them. And Amelia Beamer on YouTube will let you know which book titles they're reviewing for this month. Go to her YouTube site. And Dr. Dave in Raleigh-Durham, the world's greatest pulmonary doctor, who is a member of the Lost Artists Collective in Chicago, Illinois. I think he's there right now. But check out his website, davidrubinpainting.com or .org, I'm not sure which, but he has a very unique take on reality. Ooh. And then further up the coast, Long Island, Geraldine Goldfinger. Back in the West Coast, Sonora crowd, Robert Finnegan, Bob and Sandy Fisher, and their two children, Martha and Brad, and Darrell Larson, Judy May, Kathy Francis, Lynn Quayle. Lynn, I used the quote that you put on Facebook from Anais Nin, so I encourage everybody to check it out. It's a good quote. And up the highway 108 a ways to Twain Harte, John Gleason and his two daughters, who do not live there anymore, but they're out and about in the country somewhere. John Gleason and Tiffany and Jennifer. And then all the way down in Mexico City, Rosamalia Lopez Negrete. Okay, that's so much for the shout outs. I'm going to have a sip of Coke here. I don't normally drink Coke for a number of reasons. It's not that healthy, but sometimes I just get in the mood for a Coke, a cola. Okay. I think it really does help my throat. Okay. Good news. A judge has just struck down Florida's ban on gender care for transgender and gender nonconforming youth. In conversations with MAGA heads in my life, and there aren't that many, but I talk to them now and then, they equate transgender care with mutilation, okay, as in sex reassignment surgery. These Republicans, these GOP idiots, come from, that idea comes from Fox Spews, One America, and other Christian news outlets. Sex reassignment surgery is not, I repeat, not done to kids under 18. Once a kid who is suffering from gender dysphoria and thinks rightly that he or she is the gender that is opposite to his birth sex, then he can make that decision. He or she can make that decision after they turn 18. Okay? And have sex reassignment surgery if they still so desire. It's not mutilation. Okay? Good news locally. The Sonoma Valley Unified School District is poised to adopt Board Policy 5157, which is gender identity and access. It would provide training for all staff in implementing Title IX, that goes all the way back to 1972, Title IX protections for all kids and support for kids struggling, their word, with gender identity. At a board meeting last week, a Christian woman spoke about her faith and saying there's only two genders, just like God intended. Most of the problems that we have in this country between the right and the left in social disputes stem from ridiculous ideas from the Christian community. This country would be better off if we didn't have Christians in it. There, I said it. So sue me. Whew. Bad historical news. Capitalism is bad for humanity and the planet. Okay. In 1500, India and China were the world's most advanced civilizations. Then came the Europeans. They eventually looted and despoiled both countries, just like they did in the New World, meaning North and South America, the Western Hemisphere. and Africa. Britain was the chief culprit, relying on state-sponsored drug running backed by industrialized military power. The British Empire was the world's largest producer and exporter of opium after the gradual decline of the slave trade from Africa. Well, if they outlawed the slave trade, they got to make their profits somehow. Okay. Before the British came to India, 25% of world trade originated in India. When the Raj, R-A-J, left, it was less than 1%. India's opium exports during the 19th century was the second most important source of revenue for colonial India, which is the Raj. I don't know where that term came from, the Raj, R-A-J. I should have looked it up before doing this piece and prepare myself to explain it, but I didn't. So sue me. Another sip. Okay. Before the British came to India, 25% of the world trade originated in India. Okay. Warren Hastings, the first Governor General of British India in 1774, started the export of opium to China in 1780. By 1839, opium sales to China paid for the entire British tea trade. In May of 1839, the Chinese forced British Chief Superintendent of Trade in China, Charles Elliot, to hand over the stocks of opium at Canton for destruction. The Emperor of China was concerned very much for the spread of addiction to opium amongst his people. He was concerned about them and knew exactly where it was coming from. So he just wanted to destroy it all. This was the spark that ignited the First Opium War. After the British victory, they had relatively modern ships and cannons and a well-trained military. This is the spark that initiated the First Opium War. After the British victory, Hong Kong was ceded to the British. The main island of Hong Kong, plus a few mainland enclaves, which is now Hong Kong. And in 1999, there was a ceremonial handing over of Hong Kong to the Communist Chinese government. My wife and I watched it on television. I think we were in Las Vegas at that time on a vacation. Okay. Hong Kong was ceded. Daoguang, I'll spell it, capital Daoguang, the sixth emperor of the Qing dynasty, capital Q apostrophe ING dynasty. They were not Han Chinese. They were Manchus from what is, now essentially Manchuria. They were not ethnically the same, but the Manchus conquered China and set up their own dynasty, the Qing dynasty. Um, and Dao Guang was the sixth emperor from 1820 to 1850. That's 30 years. That's a fairly long time for a Chinese emperor to be emperor. But he was concerned about the spread of opium addiction amongst the people. And in 1839, he had the stocks of opium owned by the British in Canton seized and destroyed. Okay, shortly after the first Opium War, the Taiping Rebellion broke out, which lasted 14 years, from 1850 to 1864, which further weakened China. The Taiping Rebellion was led by Hong Xiquan, capital Xiquan. He was a very misinformed Christian. Well, who misinformed him? The missionaries, of course. But anyway, he got to be convinced that he was the younger brother of Jesus. And so he started a rebellion, a very extensive rebellion, the Taiping Rebellion. There were some good things about the Taiping Rebellion. First of all, women, surprise, surprise, were treated as equals, and early successes of the Taiping Rebellion eventually petered out. In 1860, U.S. and British and Manchu forces defeated the rebels. Now, the government of the United States in 1860 did not send units of our army over there. Well, we didn't have, units of a very big army anyway. It was a group of mercenaries, and that probably is a story that should be researched. I couldn't find anything about exactly who these U.S. military-trained mercenaries were, but they and the British and the Manchu army all managed to defeat the Taiping rebels. There were about 20 million lives lost. You heard that right. 20 million lives lost in the Taiping Rebellion, and that might be an undercount. And there were 17 Chinese provinces that were ravaged by the Taipings and fighting against the Manchus and British. Christian missionaries heavily influenced the Taiping rebels at first. Later, when some of the stupid Christian beliefs caused the Taiping rebels to kind of go off the rails and be a bit more savage than was necessary, the Christian missionaries kind of dialed back their encouragement of the Taiping rebels. Okay, enough of that. Horrible news brought to us by the Missouri GOP and the Christian nationalist woman-controlling right wing. Missouri law requires women seeking a divorce to disclose that they are pregnant to the court. State Representative Ashley Aune, capital A-U-N-E, a Democrat, introduced House Bill in Missouri, 2402, which would allow pregnant women to finalize a divorce. Oh, Republicans. I don't know whether this will pass or not. Missouri is one of the states that's controlled by Republicans. Another sip. Okay, I'm still talking about Missouri, and pregnant women cannot get their divorces finalized as it is now. A few other GOP-controlled states make it difficult for divorces to be finalized if a pregnancy is involved. Okay, here is a solution for planet Earth. All right? Temperature going up, levels of CO2 going up, levels of methane going up, plastic in the ocean going up. Okay, a solution for planet Earth. The degrowth movement advocates for a steady state world economy, but equalizing wealth and resources distribution. Equalizing resources and wealth. That's communistic. Ooh, can't have communism. GDP growth tethered to capitalism should not be the goal of countries, any countries. Marxism meets environmentalism. The hockey stick graph relating CO2 levels to Earth's temperature rise can be bent to a level steady state graph if we do this. A rising tide does not always rise all boats. A book recommendation that comes out of all of this. This is where I found this. The book's title is Slow Down, The Degrowth Manifesto. And it's by Kohei Saito, capital K-O-H-E-I, capital S-A-I-T-O. He is a Marxist philosopher. I'm not sure whether he's a professor at some Japanese university or not, but I would imagine so. He advocates not communism per se, but a public communitarianism, radical abundance. Radical abundance. Okay, that's a phrase that came out of his book. Radical abundance versus not blind consumption. Okay, we are too much of a consumption society all over the planet. We just have to do more for ourselves with less. And that harkens back to our Governor Jerry Brown's first stint as governor of California, when he said, less is more. And we have to learn to do with less to make our lives more meaningful, pleasant, etc., etc., etc. Okay, less is more. And I encourage all my listeners and YouTube watchers to go out and check out this book called Slow Down, The Degrowth Manifesto by Kohei Saito. Okay. Good expert news. Dr. Benjamin D. Hoffman, president of the American Academy of Pediatrics, says, quote, gender-affirming care begins with the conversation, and it often goes no further than that. He's talking about parents, guardians, other relatives who a kid can feel comfortable talking about himself to. And it usually goes no further than that. Aunt Debbie, I don't think I'm really a girl inside. I think I'm more like a boy. Okay. Have the conversation and be non-judgmental. I understand that that's hard for Republicans to do, is be non-judgmental, but that's what this guy's saying. The conversation usually goes no further than a young kid, expressing some sort of discontent or doubt about his or her identity. Just be accepting of that discontent and don't be judgmental. Okay, he goes on. For many young people, having the space and time to explore their identity with familial and healthcare team support is critical to their well-being. Hear, hear. Now, this is the type of ban that Republican-controlled states are foisting on the trans community. God has only two genders, or you're a sinner. Okay. That's what Christianity is all about. Non-acceptance. Okay, I don't want to go off on a ranting riff about my thoughts about Christianity. You all know it by now, that all religions are misogynistic, are the cause of all the strife and wars on this planet, and all religions are controlling of women. Okay, another sip. Okay. Bad environmental news. Corporations churn out single-use plastic packaging by the truckload. I think we all know that. Disposable yogurt cups, takeout food containers, shopping bags, mailers, cling wrap, and much, much, much more. 19 metric tons of plastic waste ends up in the environment each year. Many companies have made vague promises to increase the recyclability of their packaging and reducing the amount of virgin material that they use. But too few companies have quantifiable sustainability targets for plastic, and those that do are either setting the bar too low or are not making progress, or worse, just greenwashing their efforts. The sun is coming through the window here. As You Sow, SOW, which is a nonprofit environmental organization that gives companies a score on their overall ambition and overall action, their ambition to meet their own goals for sustainability. Kelly McBee, MCBEE, the circular economy manager of As You Sow, says, quote, every company can be doing more. Well, that's not all that profound. Of course they could. And they should place emphasis on reducing the plastics that they use rather than replacing virgin plastic with recycled content. Okay, virgin plastic is a product of the coal, oil, and gas industries. That plastic is made out of hydrocarbons for the most part. Melissa Valiant, communications director for Beyond Plastics, which is also a nonprofit. There's a whole bunch of nonprofit organizations that have grown up to help the environment. There's more than you can shake a stick at. Anyway, Melissa Valiant said, and she's talking about As You Sow. As You Sow's findings emphasize the need for government regulation, not just voluntary corporate commitments, which are usually just PR stunts. Yes, that's correct. Reduce their use of virgin plastics coming directly from fossil fuels. Coca-Cola, are you listening? This is a single-use plastic container. I'm going to put it in my bin out in the garage for recycling, but I don't know. Coca-Cola is one of the worst companies for greenwashing and not emphasizing recycling, although they claim they do. Okay. Coca-Cola, are you listening? Okay. Fossil fuel industries have largely given up on trying to convince the public that they're doing their best to help the environment with their carbon capture and sequestration efforts, CCS. And I've said on this show a number of times that CCS is a bogus industry, and they make more profits with that. Capturing carbon and burying it deep into the earth. It doesn't really do that much for the environment based on the money spent building the CCS infrastructure. Okay. But good news, youth environmentalists. A group of North Carolina high school seniors are adopting abandoned and orphaned oil wells, still leaking methane gas and not capped or plugged. Believe it or not, 3.9 million wells fit this description. Not capped, abandoned and leaking. The teenagers, raise money to cap these wells one at a time. They've partnered with the Well Done Foundation that plugs orphaned wells. Now, orphaned wells used to be owned by some company, and whatever that company was, when the oil petered out, they just walked away. Okay? That's typical capitalistic means of ensuring they keep their profits. They don't want to spend money capping a well. Well, we've made our bonuses. Let's go to the next place and drill, baby, drill. If we're going to spend money, let's spend it on buying Republican politicians. So an orphan well used to be owned by some company, and it's the company that owned it walked away and did not cap it. So anyway, these 4 youths in North Carolina are raising money to pay an oil well capping company to come do it one well at a time. And they've teamed up with the Well Done Foundation, and they plug orphaned wells also. And it's a nonprofit founded by Curtis Shuck, capital S-H-U-C-K, in 2019 in Bozeman, Montana. And his foundation caps orphaned wells. Okay, good news to end the show. San Francisco's supervisors just voted yesterday, Tuesday, to be a sanctuary city for transgender people. Good for them. Take that, Ron DeSantis of Florida and all the other GOP-controlled states. Okay, happy Pride Month, everybody. Go out and enjoy yourselves and practice your, acceptance and joy and be who you want to be. Damn it. Sorry, people. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. That dude's face on my t-shirt was me as a freshman in high school. These were made up for our 50th class reunion. One for each of us. It was a small class. But anyway, that's it for another week, and I'm really early. It's only about 45 minutes that I've done it this time, but so be it. Okay? So until next week, okay, I swear that next week I'm going to close the blinds so the sunlight won't come in.